Good evening, everybody. We are back again. Another live stream in sunny summer holiday season. So I hope everybody is well. Currently, I don't see anybody popping up in the chat room. So maybe many people are, of course, on holiday. I had mine, which was very good, but we continue, of course, with the live stream also this summer. And we hope to have in September, early September, a very cool new plugin. I'm not going to play it yet, although I could show it already, but I want to keep that as a surprise at the end of August to show you the new plugin, which will be part of the Explorer 9 bundle. Currently, I'm playing the amazing Predator-3. And this one uses phase modulation. And it changes the sound because essentially the modulating oscillator has a changing waveform as well. See, if you go to the user wave, it uses the user waves, and 1, 2, 3, and 4 essentially are octave ones. So it changes in the modulation. It changes from a regular sinus, and then each time one octave higher. And the XY is used for controlling the oscillator morph. So you see oscillator 2 is active. If I go down, here, pure sinus waveform. And you see this one doesn't go into the filter, so it's only used for modulating the oscillator 2. So then you got these very different sounds. And for speed, I use the pitch band. So if you go to the play mode, the pitch band is off. Here you can see pitch band is off, but it's used in the XY to control the speed. So here, see this little speed dial here, and that one. I'm not sure if I put on the dial animation, or it could be a little bug because I don't see the speed move. So that could be a little bug. It's not a major bug. Let's see. Yeah, I see because here, here I can see a movement. So it's something I need to mention to John once he's back from holiday, that we have a little bug in it doesn't show the automation on the speed dial here. Well, it's not a big problem, doesn't make your computer crash, but that's a little minor graphic bug. So this is the phase modulation. There are 2 of them. And if you change the pitch, it's a really FM synthesis. So that's cool. Predator-3 is, of course, doing greatly a virtual analog hybrid. You see, this is FM synthesis type of thing. So it does have quite some interesting features. So it can go anywhere from a silly organ which has a nice attack, which is, I think, also nice attack to the sound. To anything Jupiterized pad sound, very nice. So yeah, it's very versatile, and we're gonna talk about Predator this month because August is Predator-3 month. Okay, I see Stephen. Welcome in the chat room. It's been quiet in the chat room, I can see, but that doesn't matter. Most likely a few more will join later on. So we had this patch with Predator-3, and last week we had a nice live stream. And in that live stream, I had a few new sounds with the modulation by the ARP. So the ARP was used. It used the split filter. Filter 1 had this sound, the pad. And then we use the split 3, which makes that oscillator 1 and 2 go into filter 1. And oscillator 3 goes into filter 2, which is a vowel filter. So this one is the vowel filter. And here we use the mod matrix. You can see that the ARP tune is used to change the oscillator 3 semi-tuning. So it still changes the tuning, but not in the regular arpeggiator mode, because you see the play mode is still here polyphonic. By the way, if you shut down oscillator 3, it's a very nice pad. Okay, what I wanted to do before I go on with the Predator sound session, I wanted to show you, because I uploaded a few weeks ago, no, not a few weeks, I think 2 weeks ago, a video about my studio. Just 1 minute I go around in my studio and you see all these synthesizers, which are already for decades in my possession, and also some newer ones which I purchased because of the case that I so now and then play live, and then you need to have some nice synthesizer on stage next to having the 2 laptops. So okay, I want to show and then stop this video so that you guys, then I can tell about it. So I need to shut down the music a little bit because that one was a little bit loud. Where is the speaker? Oh, here's the speaker volume. I go down. Okay, so this is the resolution of the video, and I simply start on the left side. On the left side here, you can see it is a modular. You can see my mouse. This is a modular System 22, and I did my own setup for this. So it has 2 oscillators. It has a extra oscillator which I use for as LFO. It has an Oberheim filter and a Moog filter, 2 envelopes, and I purchased this one some time ago because it's also cool to show how synthesis work. And I wrote this book about synthesis, the 4-element synth, and the modular I use also in this video book. It's a great sounding synthesizer, synthesizers.com. There are still produced System 22. If you go to the homepage and visit the masterclass section, in the extra section, you can find the layout of this model System 22. Yeah, above that, you can see there is a Euro rack, which is basically having the Reebach modules, which sounds very full sound. The filter is very interesting because if you keep the resonance at a modest level, it's like a regular resonance, but if you open it, it really starts to scream. And then what I also have above it is a little sequencer from Dubflow, which I also use on stage, and on stage I combine them together. So this the sequencer by Doppler, dark time it's called, and the Eurorack. And what I do with the dark time is I set the steps which are used then by MIDI. I set them to octave and seventh tuning. So that makes that I still can transpose and don't have any influence with the major or minor chords. So that's a little trick. I still have, you can put on steps, but what I do is then one step is then a minor, a note, and sometimes I shut it off. It depends on the song I'm playing. So that's regularly on stage, and then you can tweak nicely live some sequences. On top of that, you see the Waldorf M, which is essentially a kind of remake of the microwave, which you also can see down here, the microwave one. I created at the early 90s 3 sound cards for that. And the first 2 sound cards I converted to the M, and they are available again. So I had to tweak a little bit because the conversion was not 100%, so I had to tweak a little bit the parameters. The sound of the amp is a bit more mellow compared to the original microwave. So the M, to my ear, sounds more like the original PPG, and the Waldorf microwave is a little bit more aggressive, especially in the tone of it. So a little bit, sometimes a little bit even distorted. So this is the M, very nice synthesizer, and I put in the description a link about that, and where you can find when I play on YouTube the sounds, which were the converted sounds from the early 90s, from the signature card and the techno card. Yeah, and then if you go to the right, you can see the Roland SH-5. I was lucky to get it. I could purchase it back because I had that one at the early 90s, but I then traded with the Prophet 600, which is up here, with somebody, because the Prophet 600 had presets and was polyphonic. And so I thought, yeah, that's maybe more interesting. But I always regretted to sell the SH-5. It's a very nice classic synthesizer. It's one of the early Roland synthesizers at the age when they were not that known. I saw this one also when I was a kid in a music store in a city near to us, and we only could look at it. I was 13, 14 years old, and you only could look at synthesizer. You may not touch it. So that kept in my mind. I'm lucky enough, I found one back, could purchase one back, which is in mint condition, looks like new, and it was from the first owner. And to my impression, it has a 12 dB filter. On internet, some mention it's 24 dB, but to my ears, it's a 24 the 12 dB filter. The combination, what is cool with the SH5 is that you can have also next to the main filter also a bandpass filter, and if you combine them together, you get some very special sounds. Very nice synth. Yeah, and if you go a little bit up, you can see my Jupiter 8, which I have already from 1982, if I'm not wrong, 1982 or 1983. It has the Groove MIDI. It's a mint condition. I recently did myself replace the power unit, which was the original, was still okay, but the newer one, somebody creates new one which are more modern and generate less heat. And I thought, yeah, well, it's always wise to update after 40 years the power supply, although the original one was very good. I replaced that with a newer one, and it runs the machine a lot cooler. And I also replaced myself the little things which are below the faders, to avoid dust into the faders. Yeah, then you see the Prophet 600, very sexy synthesizer. I always thought it looked very cool. It has a bit of a typical sound. It's not very similar to a Prophet 5, but it has its very own sound. It's limited because you have not that much parameter settings, so the decay only have a few steps or a few settings, but what it does is very nice, and it's also one of my favorite synthesizers. And so let's play it, because that's one part I showed in the video. Here are a little bit of background music. Yeah, and then you see in the background, you see Prophet 2000 EMU and the EMU Orbit 3. I created for EMU the Techno-Synth Construction Yard ROMs and the Beat Garden ROM, which are still available now. So if you have a Proteus 2000, these are still available on Reverb. Somebody did recreate them, these boards. So the Techno-Synth Construction Yard and the Beat Garden Yard ROMs are available. So, and the Orbit 3 has had both of them. So this is the Orbit 3 and a Proteus 2000. Yeah, and then if you go more to the right, you see some figures from Ice Age. Yeah, there's the modeler again. So here I have a video. If you look in Diverse, in the playlist Diverse or Studio Rob Papen, you will find a video where I explain about this setup, what I used in the System 22. So you see two oscillators here. This one is as LFO, two envelope generators. What is nice with the Oberheim filter is that I added a mixer, which means that you can combine these several synth modes together. And this is then the Moog filter, and that goes through a mixer, and then it goes out. It has MIDI. And I also took it with me on stage, only it's a little bit too big on stage. So I had it a few times on stage, but not that always. So it stays more in my studio now. It's very nice. System 22. Nice. SH5. Go up to the Jupiter 8. Prophet 600. I had the Geekly, there's a Geekly update for Prophet 600, but I did throw it out again because it changes so much of the original preset, which I had, that I thought, yeah, that's not worth the effort. So it's still having the original operating system, and the Geekly is back in the box again. So it changed for my taste a little bit too much of the original synthesizer. So I kept the original one. Yeah, then above you see, it's the Mini Moog. And the Mini Moog I could purchase also at the early 90s. A friend of mine, Luke Seuntjes, arranged that for me. It was in terrible stage because it had not the tuning stable board, which I could add at a stage because one of the repair guys still had one board, and also a keyboard, because the keyboard was also totally yellow, most likely a smoking person who owned it, and the wood was covered with this kind of plastic which they put over kitchen tables, so it looked awful. But it was fixed, and now again in mint condition. And yeah, the Mini Moog, I had that one last time on stage was with the Klaus Schulze tribute, which you can find on YouTube in the Rob Papen music, because Klaus Schulze always played on the Mini Moog, and of course I also was inspired by the music of Klaus Schulze in creating electronic music. And yeah, behind there you see even a picture of the NAMM show with Jean-Michel Jarre. That's the person, of course, which made that I start playing synthesizer. I saw Jean-Michel Jarre with Oxygen when I was 12 years old. And yeah, that then I fell in love with synthesizers and also the way they looked. Yeah. Then you can see on the right and the left side, for me, you see the little fatty. The little fatty I use on stage for mainly doing some live sequence sounds, and the same is for the Pro 3, which has a very nice built-in sequencer. So the Pro 3 and the little fatty are on stage. So I have on stage not these older machines which you see on the left side, because they are too old and too risky that something gets damaged. So I use these modern ones on the stage. to doing also live things. And next on stage, I have then two laptops. One is using main stage as a super synthesizer, so with all the virtual instruments, and then I have one computer for doing the sequencing. Below the Pro 3, you find the Waldorf Pulse. I did also create some sounds for that little synthesizer. Then, of course, the microwave with the signature of Wolfgang Palm. I arranged that at that time. And then below it, you see the Access microwave programmer. So, yeah, I made quite some sounds for these Waldorf machines. Very nice still, and they are lovely. Okay, I see some people pop up more in the live stream. Yeah, the good thing is you always can watch it back. Don't worry. So I'm going around my little studio. And then you see, there you see my monitors. Here we see Mr. Predator. And then you see my computer. Of course, the Access Virus B. I created quite some presets for the Access Virus from the very start. So if you have the Access Virus and you see a preset with the name RP at the end, like Paddings RP or SH-101 RP, that's presets created by me. And I still have it. I regularly use it also as a controller to control the synthesizers, because it is also a nice MIDI controller, so that you have the filter, a dial, and envelopes. And here you see, and I also have a little hot rod, this little one here. So then you go to the right. Yeah, you see the microphone. I'm speaking now. This is my microphone, my webcam, the monitors, my keyboard. If you go to the right, you see my other Mac laptop and another laptop. These are the ones which you use on stage. And then we go to the right section. You can see I have a little mixer, although I have little sub-mixers for having the other instruments. And then you see at the left-hand side, you see my Roland SH-101. Let me see if I can a little bit. Okay, here is my SH-101, which I purchased some years ago. I had that one at the early 80s, but I sold it because I was frustrated that I didn't have any memory to store the presets. But I could purchase one back in the same condition as I had it. It's as new. Then you see here the GP, it's called GP08, which is the boutique range of Roland of the Jupiter 8. Of course, I had to have that one. Here's the compressor, that recorder, the RME audio card, which I'm using on the laptop and the main computer. Then you see here my two Korg MS-20 and the SQ10. And below the SQ10, you have this little switching board, which I remade again. I had one which was a little bit different constructed at the first album. So I could switch from going from 2 to 8 steps and put things on, off. So I recreated that, but then in 19-inch. There's also video on that one, I think in one of the live streams. So two Korg MS-20s, I have them already for ages. And that was my very first synthesizer at that time. And that's then also the story about the synthesizer below it, the Yamaha CS-30. You can also find a video about it in the live stream, where you can see the picture of the CS-30. I play it on the live stream. It only had still the defect of the sequencer, which is now fixed. And when I started playing synthesizer, I had an organ, and my first synthesizer had two options. I could purchase the CS-30, or I could purchase the MS-20 plus SQ10. And I picked the MS-20 plus SQ10 at that time because it was a little bit more modular patching, you know. But as a kid, when I was 15 years old, I had this brochure of this Yamaha CS-30, never left my mind. And now I think more over a year ago, I could purchase a used one in mint condition. I added the Lala MIDI, which makes that you can use MIDI and control the filters with velocity, and that makes it so cool. It's a synthesizer with a different layout. So you select the waveform in the filter section, you select the filter type in the VCA. So it has a bit of a different approach in terms of layout compared to any other synthesizer, but it's very solid build. In terms of audio quality, the Yamaha CS-30 is much better quality than the Korg ones, which are very noisy, you know. And so it's a lovely synthesizer. It's especially it's nostalgic for me to have it in my studio because I always dreamt of it. And then you see here is the Take 5 from Sequential, which I use as replacement on stage for my Mini Moog. It has it's 5 voice. It has the Prophet 5 filter, and it sounds fantastic. It's a very, very nice synthesizer on stage. It's very easy to select the preset, and the audio quality is superb and great on stage, definitely. And then you see the here it's still on the, oh yeah, here you can see the SH-101, and here you can see the switching board. So I'm just making a tour now. So, and here you see the Korg Prophecy, which I use on stage mainly for one sound or two sounds. The shakuhachi sound inside of it is cool, and it has an amazing guitar lead sound, which I use on stage. And it's I don't have it that long. I recently fell my eye on it. For some reason, I liked it, and I purchased a second-hand copy. They're very affordable. The only thing you need to check with that one is if the output sometimes needs a recap, because the volume goes down, and if the volume is very low, you know, it needs a recap. And it had a recap, of course. And yeah, and then we go to the left. There's some stuff which I'm not always using. Yeah, E4 keyboard. I made some sounds for the emulator E6400 E4 range. The AZ10, of course, created sounds for them. And I have this little SCSI 2 SD card, which is strange. And you have suddenly on a little small chip, you have all these sounds. And then you see the Diamond Strings, which is also in Blue 3, which I sampled, which is a very rare machine. It's a string machine combination with a vocoder, and it's a very icy string sound. Maybe I should play it after I show you the video. And here you see a little old-styled organ drum machine. My uncle gave it to me. I was in his store, and also the string. Vocal string was given by the uncle of me, who was a reseller of that time in the end 70s, early 80s. The Diamond String CRB, it's the Italian brand, needed some fixes, but I could sample it, and it's a very nice sound. Yeah, and then I end up here with Purple Rain, a cap which I found. I received the in Whistle Studios. They were flying around with some Purple Rain caps, and yeah, of course, always a fan of the Prince music. So so that's a little video. I put the link inside of the description of this YouTube video. Also in the description you will find the homepage about my studio setup and all the synthesizers I owned. I wrote them down. And so that's a little bit story behind the studio, where I sit, what you, of course you see my face, you see a little bit behind me, but that's the studio, and then now a little bit explained about it. So if you are late, you always can watch it back in the YouTube live tab. So if you go to the YouTube channel of mine, you see video, shorts, and Livestream. And Livestream, there you can find it. So last week we had this Predator-3 session, and today I started with some other things. So let me play the diamond strings, and I made a typo, by the way, in this preset. Named it not diamond, but L. So here it's in pads. Let me see. Selena. Diamond with D-A-E. Rob. Yeah. Diamond string. This is the strings. The only thing why I did is make it stereo, because the original is like this. Mono. Typical sound, and I made it stereo by using simply a simple trick to make it stereo. But what happened is that it's the same sample, but the other channels, so left is playing the normal sample, and right plays the same sample but at a different starting point, and then you can create a stereo sound. Okay, I'm checking in the chat room. Welcome. Yeah, it's summertime. I noticed in the chat room that it is summertime, but that doesn't matter. Stephen is there. I see Nick B. He was 40 when Oxygen came out. Yeah. It's an epic album. I totally agree. Johan, no, not more than the native control. It depends on my flow. So sometimes I put it on and use it as a controller so that I can very fast feel the envelopes, but it depends. DJTH production, how could they build such a great sounding and well-built stuff back in those days without the help of computers? Well, that's a good one. I think it took far more time to create these boards with all the resistance. So there were far more components on the old synthesizers compared to the modern analog machines. They have far less and smaller components. At that time, also the organ had a lot of boards on board. It's but they could do it. I mean, but picture, it's the very start of synthesizer. It starts all in the 70s. I think in the 60s already, of course, but it came in the 70s. It became more popular, and the moment the Japanese synthesizers came, like the Korg MS-20, it took really off, and then we got the Poly 6, which has memory, and then you got the DX7. So there was a big revolution in the early stage, 80s, 90s, and then of course we got the software synthesizers, a revolution, and it's all about making music. So I mean, that's the main thing. It's there are people using hardware only, people using hardware together with software, or people using only software. Whatever you feel comfortable in creating music. I must admit I'm pretty lazy, so I have a lot of synthesizers here. But when I create music in my studio, it's 99% is software, because I'm fast, and in terms of sound quality, there's no need to use hardware. On stage, of course, hardware is nice because you have then more instruments around you and you can tweak and flying around on stage. Okay, so that was the diamond strings, and I had some variations of it. Use it together with the saw from Blue 3. So that's cool. Blue 3 makes that you have the sample of this very old string machine, and you can combine that with other things, or you put the phaser on it. Okay, but we were talking about Predator-3, and I started this live stream with this. We had last week the sounds created, which was the pad sounds with the where is Predator-3? Here it is, with the pad. And here the arpeggiator, it has different tuning. The arpeggiator was used in modulation mode. So the play mode of Predator-3 was polyphonic, but in the mod matrix, the up tune row was used to change the tuning of the oscillator 3. So, and that oscillator 3 went into filter 2, a vowel filter. And you see here that oscillator 3 goes into filter 2 and oscillator 1 and 2 go in filter 1. So we created these. And we had, of course, the other split, which was the twinkle sound. Or this one. Yeah, and I started with the, let me see. Okay, I can look in the recently browsed, yeah, special phase mod, this preset. That's the cool thing, you have so much synthesis option in Predator-3. So the 3 oscillators you have, but you also can use phase modulation here. So here I use phase modulation by oscillator 1. So oscillator 2 is a sinus waveform. Nothing happens, nothing exciting, but it's modulated by oscillator 1. And oscillator 1, you see, it morphs between the oscillators waveform. If I make them that you can hear them, so this is the oscillator 1. It goes in octaves. It uses user waves. Wave 1, 2, 1 octave higher, 3 octave higher, 5. So it goes 1 to 5. But I don't use it in this way, but I use it, so I shut off the filter, but I use it to modulate oscillator 2, and then you get this. You can also use another one. Let's see if there's a... different modulation. So these are the different yeah, different sound. But I use the phase modulation. So it has so many different sounds. Let me see what happens here. Arpeggiator free row controls T1 morphing, so that's why you see it jumping now. It's wave set 1 to 8, so it jumps between the waves. So that's where the free row interesting is, to use the free row to control, to modulate this morphing parameter. So now it's step limited, different modes, morph, yeah, there's so many things possible. So it goes from newer digital things, okay, to classic synth sounds. But this is more a okay. Looking at the chat room. Oh yeah, that's also a trick. Of course, if you have a snare, that's a little bit hard. If you about the stereo trick, if you have a looped sound and you move the other one in a different start position, but with percussive sounds, it's of course a little bit different. Yeah. So little tricks you can do to make a sound which is mono stereo, especially with looped sounds and pad sounds. That's pretty cool to do. So here with Predator-3, we use the split mode for the filters to make one cutoff frequency from one side a little bit different from the other side, and then you also get some very interesting stereo sounds. Let me see if I can find a good example. Oh, here it is already. That's a split one, you see, and you see that filter 2 only has the cutoff frequency and its stereo spread fully open. This came over from the original Predator. Let me see if I have this original Predator available. Not really. But what happens is that filter 2 uses the same filter type, but you can pan them left-right, filter 1 and filter 2, pan them left-right, and you do that with the stereo spread. And if you have then a little bit different cutoff frequency, and you can see that the cutoff frequency from filter 1 is 1.7 kilohertz, and the from filter 2 is 2.8 kilohertz, and then you have a very nice stereo sound. So when I play, hear the difference? This one. Okay, so that's the split mode 1. So that's also a trick when you have a synthesizer. If you have the option, you can make a stereo sound simply by using two a little bit different cutoff frequencies of the filter. Okay, I'm checking the chat room. Yeah, people are a little bit late, no problem. As mentioned, you always can watch it back. I have made at the start of the video a nice, I played the video from my studio and then I stopped the video and talked about the instruments in my studio. And in the description below, I have the video link where you can watch this video again. I have a link to the Waldorf M sound set and a link to my studio homepage. But in the start of this live stream, I talked about the studio because I'm sitting here and so I go together with you, I look around and I tell about everything which is in my studio. So maybe in case you missed something and you want to ask about one product, let me know. Drop it in the info. Just do a post where, and then you can. I can look into it next week. I should do a little bit more, maybe sometimes a video with hardware synthesizers to show what I like about my studio setup and tell about it. I did, of course, one with the SH-101. I did one with the CS-30, although it has the sequencer at that time, not correct. But that's and of course, I did the MS-20, yeah, the sequencer, the step thing, which popped up in bit 2, because then suddenly an old idea of what I used with my original MS-20 was this switching board that we did dynamically in the bit 2 and also later on in Go2X. So if you have a ARP sequence, okay, then you can change the step number, so and change it dynamically. So that's essentially this little switching board. So this original idea from the step number, that one is dynamics. You can change that with even a catch-up, even or uneven, and the loop mode startup dynamically. That came over from the old Korg MS-20 and SQ10 switching board I created over 40 years ago. So yeah, I have some MS-20 sounds here. Okay, that's this one. Ooh, go back. It's from the Aurora song. Sequencer. Nice, warm, analog type of sound. So yeah, options are endless with Predator-3, and also mentioned last live stream about the many presets which are on board with Predator-3, with the original Predator presets, and so on. So let me check the chat room. Yeah, the Moog old school. The new one. Yeah, that looks very nice. The Muse looks very nice. This 8 voice. The sound reminded me a little bit on the Jupiter 8. I heard a few things about it on YouTube and remind me a little bit of the Jupiter 8. I have still, which you can watch on the video, the from the recent Moogs, the Little Fatty 2, which was one of the last ones Robert Moog worked at, and I used that one on stage. Okay, so we are in the last minute of the live stream. Let me see where we have. Let me see if I'm looking. Cyclone. So that's the cool thing. You can have so much also type of Waldorf microwave PPG sound. It's the wavetable thing, waveforms. Het is more the mini-moog style. Yeah, yeah, what I like about the music, you can stack two sounds together. It's like a Jupiter 8, and you can have two sounds together. Of course, then you scale down to 4 voice only. But what I found interesting about the Muse is that it has the second filter. So it doesn't have only the low pass filter, but also has a high pass filter. And that opens a lot of more sound options. Roberto lead. It's a mellow lead. Okay, I wanted to play one of my favorite pad sounds. Well, there are a few of them which this mellow carpet, of course, is nice. That one really reminds me on really a classic pad. Oh, that was a wrong chord, isn't it? Yeah, isn't that nice? Yeah, guys, that's a little bit for today. You can watch the live stream back. Next week, we go into detail with Predator-3. If you have a question about Predator-3, drop it in the section below, in the info section, or you can respond to this video. Give it a thumbs up. Of course, you can watch it back, and I will add tomorrow the timestamps. And of course, it's a lot about the studio, this video, and a little bit about Predator-3. So anyhow, thanks for watching. We keep an eye on next week. Then we will be back. Enjoy creating music, and see you next time. Bye-bye.